This is Bike World. Coming up on this episode, we spend the day with Kawasaki at their K-World Live Bike Festival. But first, me and my mate John gather up some of the world's best European Supernakeds and put them up against the new Yamaha MT-10. So about 15 years ago, sports bikes were the bike to own. They were the most desirable, they had the most development, they were the fastest. It was just the bike that everyone was buying into. Now fast forward a few years and people are buying adventure bikes, they're moving into the cruiser market, they're riding off-road, and they're also buying Supernakeds. But some of the original die-hard sports bike fans still aren't convinced by them. Now, this is my mate John on a Supernaked. And put simply, we're here today to prove you wrong. So for the last few years, the cream of the crop in terms of Supernakeds has really been the European Supernakeds. They're the fastest, they're the ones that we get the most excited about. They've got kind of the most character, usually the most power. Japanese Supernakeds have been out for ages. There's been the Z1000, there's a relatively new GSX S1000, there's the Honda CB1000R, but we've kind of bypassed those. We've got the MT-10 today. How come we've chosen this bike?
Well, I think this, as we found on the press launch a couple of weeks ago in Spain, is the most up-to-date and contemporary feeling Japanese bike in terms of all of the software and everything that makes Japanese sports bikes very good, coupled with the other big power punch that they've got, which is the price. This bike's less than £10,000. Some of those bikes behind us are, you know, you could buy a track bike on top of this.
14 grand for KTM.
So, at sub £10,000, with what this has got, the traction control, the cruise control, the multi-modes, plus the fact that it looks like it does. You know, when was the last time you saw a funky looking Japanese bike that hadn't been crashed? This thing looks absolutely, something, which is what Japanese bikes never do. They're always a little bit meh. This bike, regardless of the flat grey paint, is not a beige bike. We've got a 2-mile runway. We've got 4 of arguably the best naked bikes that money can buy. There's a big yellow ball in the sky. It makes sense that we do some kind of really detailed testing and really try and get under the skin of these machines.
Yes, yes. Let's get naked.
Just stick your leathers on.
So while Luke's sticking his leathers on and gelling his hair up again, I thought it'd be a good chance to walk and talk through each of the 4 bikes we've gathered here today for this test. Starting with this, the Ktm Super Duke 1290R. This is a big power bike. This is a big torque bike, 173 horsepower, 106 pounds-foot of torque. It's also expensive though. It's 14,150 pounds. Easily, probably the fastest, but easily the most expensive bike here today. Next, we've got the 10,300 pound BMW S1000R Sport. This is another big power bike. It's 82 pounds-foot of torque. Funnily enough, that's 82 pounds-foot of torque. Funnily enough, that's 82 pounds-foot of torque. 160 horsepower though. I lived with one of these for a year. These bikes are absolutely phenomenal. The rider aids have developed. BMW have absolutely nailed what you can do with these bikes. It's got dynamic suspension that you can change on the fly. This is an amazing, amazing bike. I think it will feature heavily in the performance element of what we're doing, but I also think it's got a bit of character about it as well. S1000R is an absolute cracker. So next, we've got the 11,500 pound Speed Triple R. This is the plucky Brit. It's been around for ages. It's been developed, it's evolved. This one's got lovely Olin suspension, it's got traction control, but unfortunately it's got the least power of all of these bikes. The torque figure's identical to these two, but with only 138 horsepower, you're going to struggle on track, you're going to struggle on a 2-mile runway, but I think out on the road, the character that this bike has, because of the nature of that triple cylinder motor, will absolutely push it to the top of the pile. And finally, the MT-10. Luke and I have already spoken about it. I can see him itching to jump on these bikes in the background. So I'm the closest to all of them. So what I'm probably going to do now is challenge him to a drag race and pick the keys to the bike that I think will beat the MT-10 from 0 to 100 miles an hour. And it's these. So you know where you're going. It's a straight line. Not even I could get lost. Just 100 miles an hour, 0 to 100 miles an hour.
be fair, both bikes, 160 brake, both the same amount of torque, and once you got the rolling, there was nothing in it.
No.
It was just, the Beamer was clearly
easier to launch.
a lot easier to launch, yeah. Because the one run where we both got a decent launch, the bikes were neck and neck, all the way up to about 130, or 100.
Yeah.
But the problem with the MT is that it's got such a short first and second gear that you've constantly got a short shift, otherwise you're just wheeling. I'm kind of intrigued to see if the KTM is going to have the same issue, because I reckon past 100 miles an hour it's going to kind of wipe the floor with the Beamer.
Yeah.
But up to that realistic motorway speed plus a bit more,
Yeah.
I reckon that might have the same issue. Too much torque, maybe slightly too short gear ratios, and it's going to start being a bit sky happy.
Well, there's only really one way to find out, isn't there? And we're off. Oh, I smoked him! Ah! So that wasn't quite the ass whooping that I got handed that I expected to, really. I think the big thing that I noticed was that once you got your iron on that bike, no matter how well I went on this one, I couldn't keep with
started to get the edge on it.
Yeah, and I think it just shows what that extra 300cc and that extra power and torque that has got. That shows perfectly what you're getting for your money there.
And I have to say, I had more fun launching,
yeah, I thought you did.
wheeling, riding, just in general, the MT-10 than I did on that. That's a brilliant bike. That's a specimen in a way. Do you know what I mean? It is such a big daddy of Supernakeds. But the thing I found was that, for example, when you were we were hitting about 170-ish at the end there, indicated. You look really comfortable on the bike. You know, the bike looked stable.
Tracking.
Yeah, and you're just flat out. I'm almost 90% throttle, 100% throttle, because the bike's just weaving. It doesn't feel stable at that speed at all. It's so hard to keep that thing flat out at that speed because it feels like it's going to shake itself to bits.
Yeah. Okay, so what we're going to look at now is braking, ABS braking in particular. All of the bikes on the test today are fitted with ABS. So what I'm hoping when I raise my arm and lower it is that Luke will come and simulate being at 60 miles an hour on an A road, seeing something in the road that causes him to absolutely jam everything up. Here we go.
Easy money.
Easy money?
Easy.
How did it feel?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think that Öhlins suspension, as we said, the Öhlins, the tyres, the brakes, super easy.
Okay, so Luke sat down there on the Jap Special, the Yamaha MT-10. My wavy hand in the air, being dropped, says that it's going to at least stop quicker than the Triumph. Oh, look at that. Let's go and have a look. So we're a good 3 bike lengths shorter.
Yeah, it's weird that. I thought, on the practice runs, I thought it was going to be more difficult to stop than the Triumph, but...
A little bit out of shape?
Yeah, a bit more out of shape. The reels come up there. The ABS definitely takes a bit longer to chime in. It's clearly more conservative on the trumpet.
When Luke's on the BMW now, this is the bike that I'd put my money on, but then I'd have put my money on the Triumph stopping shorter than the Yamaha. So I'll stick my arm up in the air, Luke will send it 60 miles an hour, same thing every time on each bike, and I'm hoping that that bike will stop shorter than this one.
I reckon there's more power in there, but you can just feel the ABS just stopping it. It's not one of those chiming ones where it's judding. You can just feel the bike limiting how much braking input you're really allowed.
Wow.
That surprises me. It's got the strongest brakes.
Yeah, trickiest brakes. Yeah. And it is, I mean, from the MT-10 is 5 or 6 bike lengths ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, that was, I think, probably the most worthy thing that I've ever done on this show. We've helped people understand how ABS works and which of the ABS systems is the best on these 4 bikes. So it's the end of day 1. We're just about to get to the point where we choose which bikes we're going to take out tomorrow, or which bike we're going to take with the MT-10. Let's quickly rattle through the good and bad from today.
The test we've done. So we started with the 0 to 100, which is kind of realistic with, you know, accelerating on a slip road onto the motorway, something like that. The KTM eventually beat the S1000R.
Yes.
A lot easier to launch the BMW though, had the longer gearing, the easier power delivery, and I reckon over 100 runs you'd find it a lot easier to get consistent time.
Yeah.
Then the braking test, this was a massive surprise. I thought either the KTM or the Speed Triple would win it, you know, just down to the tyres, the suspension, and that one just because it's got those Brembo M50s on it. And these two pretty much came dead last. So
well,
the
this
MT-10,
one came clearly.
that did come last, yeah.
But let's not forget how consistent the BMW has been all day at everything. You know, when we were dicking around doing wheelies, there it was doing them. But we're now at the stage where we're both about to choose another bike that we're going to go out on the roads on tomorrow.
So we're definitely taking the MT-10. I genuinely, before I came here, was convinced I was going to be wanting to take the KTM with it. But through the test today, I've not been disappointed with it. It's a bit harsh, but it's not been as vibrant and as good as I remembered it being. The S1000R, as you said, it's done all those tests so well. It's been super consistent. But for me, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I genuinely would take the Speed Triple with it. Just because when we finally got it out on the straight, I actually think we should have been drag racing it this morning with the other bikes.
Despite that power deficit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Well, the best thing we can do now is pack up, head home, get set, and I'll meet you in the morning for a run down the coast.
Get closer to a brand new Ninja ZX-10R and ride away with a competitive APR if you select a K-Options personal contract purchase plan from your Kawasaki local dealer. Arrange your test ride today by visiting kawasaki-testrides.co.uk or contact your Kawasaki dealer. For more information on the new ZX-10R or any motorcycle in the Kawasaki range, go to kawasaki.co.uk today.
So we've had these bikes, we've done the lab test, let's say, and despite that being 22 horsepower up, 160, 138, we've obviously found that actually that's not any quicker than it. I don't know why, whether it's the gearing, whether it's the power delivery, whether it's the weight difference, whatever, but it's not any quicker. So on paper, it's quite hard to sort of compare the two because they're both Supernakeds, they both got traction control, they both got rider modes, they both got all those modern touches.
Similarly priced. The Speed Triple has always been a naked bike. It's an evolution that's been around for, you know, it's probably 2 decades now. And I think as a package, it's finished now to look like a naked bike that's always been naked. The MT-10, despite, you know, what they told us on the launch about it being completely separate from R1 and it sits in the MT series, this to me feels like a naked version of a sports bike. For me, what's great about this bike is I can't remember the last time there was a Japanese bike of any description, sports bike, trailie, you know, naked bike, cruiser, that had as much character as the MT-10 does. This is basically the most Italian Japanese bike I've ever ridden. Maybe the two kinds of customers that would look at bikes like this would find appeal in different areas, and for me, this is the absolutely kind of typical bike that an ex-sports bike rider would want to downgrade to without realising that it's more of a sideways step than a backwards one. That is for the kind of show-off, good-looking, likes to dab a hair gel, you know, the kind of guy that wants to be seen cutting around town on something that's going to turn heads. the kind of guy that rides this probably wouldn't be so fussed if people are checking him out or not. He just wants to ride it because of how it makes him feel.
I think the engine on that bike is not necessarily better, but has more character.
It is a peach.
I think, you know, it's exciting the whole way through the rev range, especially once you get into that mid-range and the top end. It's got the noise, it's got the power delivery, it's got the power, the top end power, which is weird because this bike is sort of known for having a really characterful engine, and it does, but when you ride that one, that's the one that you want to get back on.
We should probably stick our kit on and crack on down to the coast.
Go for an ice cream.
You've said ice cream 5 times now. You're hungry?
I can't even eat ice cream. I'm lactose intolerant. I just want you to have an ice cream.
I'll have 2, it's fine. I can manage that. So mate, 2 days, probably the best part of 700 miles, maybe a bit more. Started with 4 bikes and we're down to 2. Before we say what we think the best one is, we should probably start at the back and say why the KTM and the BMW aren't here.
KTM, let's start with that, because I think for both of us came sort of last out of the 4 bikes. For me, that thing is just over 14 grand, or 16 grand if you choose a special edition, and it's just simply not £4,000 worth more bike than the others.
Okay,
you know,
no, I'd agree. Despite it having class-leading performance, straight-line performance, it whooped all the other bikes yesterday eventually, once you got your head around how to get it off the line. I would agree. It's probably a little bit too much bike for the majority of the target market to buy into. BMW?
Again, you know, it was ridiculously quick, did everything well, handled well, was quick, stopped well. But it's kind of a problem with all BMWs, I find, is that it's a bit clinical. You know, it doesn't leave a lasting impression on you as soon as you get off. The only lasting impression of it is that it does everything well, and you sort of want to pat it on the head of going, good bike, thanks for that. You've done your job well. Yeah. But you don't get off, walk 20 metres to the shops, and then stop and look back at the bike and think,
that's mine.
That's mine. I love that thing. It's just a bit clinical, which is why we've got the MT-10 and the Speed Triple here, because I think those bikes do everything that the Beamer and the KTM do, but they've got something special and they've got that character. Yep. So Speed Triple and the MT-10, we said we were going to talk about what we didn't like about them. So what do you not like, or what have you picked up on from riding the Speed Triple?
Well, I think the original Speed Triple that I can remember, the 1050 I'm talking about, that was a bit of a badass. Like we were saying earlier,
yeah, definitely.
You stick it into YouTube or you stick it into Google, the first 50 returns are always
wheelies,
somebody being a bit naughty on it.
Burnouts, hooligan bike.
And with this one, I think it's a better bike, but I think it's been refined so much that it might have lost a little bit of that bad boy appeal that the early ones had.
Finally, MT-10, what do you find wrong with that bike, if anything?
Well, I think it's a kind of double-edged sword, really. It's hard to fault at the price point. It won the brake test. It was really solid in the drag racing. All the riding that we've done, it's been perfect from start to finish. But I think when you look at the numbers, there's sure to be an element of the target market that are just maybe scratching their head at why it's so cheap. Yeah. And I think maybe Yamaha, much the same with the XSR, that's priced so well that you're almost raising a question that doesn't need to be answered. People are going to be looking at it saying, why is this bike so cheap? The simple answer is, it just is. Yeah.
We both like both bikes. We've both been saying all day long, we're not totally sure what we choose between the two. I think I've formed an opinion of which one I want. So, gun to your head, you have to choose a bike. 3, 2, 1, MT-10.
MT-10.
Yeah. You know what? Epic trip.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And it's actually really nice to spend some
quality time together.
that time of year again when manufacturers just want to show us how awesome they are with bike festivals. So in the past we've been to Triumph Live, in a couple of weeks time we're off to Misano for World Ducati Week, but today we're at K-World for a jam-packed day full of Kawasaki action. There's loads of stuff lined up for us. We've got pillion laps, races, rider interviews, but first, and more importantly, it's time for a bacon sandwich. Here at the K-World Stunt Arena. Now if you think you know racing, think again, because we've got the race of all races going on behind us. It's the Team Green Challenge. 8 riders, 4 different bikes, 2 heats. James Ellison, Leon Haslam, all the big riders are out there at the moment. I don't know how they're going to handle the power of those KLX 110s. 7 horsepower of pure fury. To be honest, I'm just super jealous that I'm not joining in. We're here with John, the winner of our pillion lap competition. Yeah. You're about to hug a man on a bike. How are you feeling about that?
I can't think of a better man to hug than Leon, so I cannot wait to go round. I'm a huge Kawasaki fan. I also do marshalling for BSB, but obviously
so you're in the sort of bike industry, you're in the area.
I am, and it is all about the green team. Obviously being a marshal though, you're very impartial.
Okay, so what are you thinking? I mean, I've got James Ellison,
yep.
You've got Haslam, I think we're going out at the same time.
Yep.
I'm going to whisper some sweet nothings into his ear and try and make him beat you, I think.
Okay, but we are leader of the championship at the moment, so we'll stick with that.
Alright, well, enjoy mate. Cool, I'll see you out there again.
Yeah.
I could see his neck. I could see his knee going down on the deck. Oh, little wheelie there.
That is just so good.
That was good, mate. Really good passenger.
That was really good. So trying to get the knees out. I didn't go with your legs out.
No, it's good, mate. You kept it loose, got his pegs down, got the knee down.
Yeah.
It was good.
It was great. That is just immense. Suddenly you realise what a bike can do.
Brilliant.
Fun as well, actually, with 2 on it.
Yeah, no, it's not. I could feel the rear kicking out at some bits, yeah.
That bit there was drifting out.
Hello everyone, thank you for coming to K-World today. Just to let you know, we've now got some rider interviews.
Just been trying to get fit again. Bike time, you can't beat bike time really, bum on seat time, and even just to get out now and do a couple of sessions, it'll be, you know, there's nothing like riding a bike.
In winter training, I get to mountain bike every day, motocrossing, rock climbing. I just got into Ninja Warrior training as well, just for something a bit different.
And joined the 132 mile an hour club, so I did 132.4 on the last lap of the Superbike race.
Supermoto style or knee down for you?
On the right handers I was with the leg out because I wasn't very good. On the left I was with the knee down, so a bit of a mix up.
Another sweet day with Kawasaki at K-World Live. We've done it all, to be honest. We've seen break dancing today. We've interviewed the Kawasaki riders, the TT riders, the BSB riders. We've watched them race KLX 110s for the Team Green Challenge. We've seen Lee Bowers do his stunt show, but the icing on the cake for today has to be going on a ZX10 with James Ellison. But we're not done with bike festivals just yet. So we're going to be heading to Misano in a couple weeks' time for World Ducati Week, where we've got 3 days spent with beautiful Italian women and beautiful Italian motorbikes.
Oh.